I wasn't gonna force it.
No. Got 17 minutes.
Nice.
All right, we're about 5 minutes out, so I thought I'd do one more quick sanity mic check, make sure we're doing okay. No buzzes have been magically added, no gremlins in the system, nothing. Hopefully. Yeah? We doing good? Sounded good? Good? Perfect. Yeah, I can do a quick mic check as long as everything sounds good. Perfect.
Jump right into questions today. We're going to open up Griffin Strom, 11 Warriors.
I'm wondering about Marcus Williamson, a guy that last year was a regular starter for you guys, comes back for an extra year, and now obviously has a little bit of a reduced role in the secondary. What are conversations with him like going into this season?
Well, first off, I think that Marcus this past week has had his best week of preparation. And, he, even shared with me that he got a lot of distractions out of his head. He cleared a lot of noise out and just gave himself to the team. His energy level was off the charts. His attitude was off the charts. And then lo and behold, he plays probably one of his better games. And I just thought it was a great example of when, you get focused and you dedicate yourself to the team and you don't listen to all the noise, how that can affect your performance. And hats off to Marcus.
Also, just how much of an issue is Cam Brown kind of working through on a week-to-week basis? Obviously, he didn't play a whole lot this past week.
Yeah, Cam's very, very talented. He has had injuries along the way. He's working through another one. And, we've all seen that he has the ability to play when he's out there and he's healthy. So that's something that he's been challenged with over his career. And, we're hoping that he's kind of come out of the back end of this recent one. And then, he can play his best football as we head into the middle part of the season.
Second row right, Joey Coffman, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, wanted to ask you about Taraja Mitchell. You've had a lot of young guys playing defense. He's an older guy who's now starting for the first time. What have you seen for him in the last couple of weeks?
I think Taraja is a unique situation because Taraja had not played much football going into the season. So while he was in the program for the last couple of years, he didn't have a ton of game experience, and now he's starting to log those reps, and you're seeing somebody who's playing much more efficiently and effectively than he did early in the season. So I think he's healthy. I think he's playing with a great attitude, and he's been making more plays.
Feel about linebacker depth overall? I know EA didn't play last week. Do you expect he'll maybe be able to return this week, and just how comfortable are you with depth there right now?
It's not something where we feel great about. We wish we had more depth there right now, but hopefully we can get EA back in the fold here, and then go from there. But at the end of the day, I think that our guys who are playing much more efficiently. But to your point, as we head into the middle part and the latter part of the season, we're going to need some depth in there to get to where we need to go.
Ryan, with Matt's role expanding on the defensive side of things, how does his role in recruiting expanded? Or his involvement changed in evaluation, communication with recruits, that sort of thing?
We really haven't changed that all that much. It's right now it's just still the defensive staff is continuing to work like they have, and all these guys, it's group recruiting all the time anyways, and I'm involved with it as well. We had a bunch of calls last night, and so we really haven't made a huge adjustment in that area.
What sort of questions or concerns have there been from recruits and their families about sort of Kerry's role and Matt's role, sort of those two things side by side? What sort of questions have you had to answer, and how have you gone about answering those?
I haven't had any. Yeah, no one's really pressed me with any of those type of questions. I think they understand what Ohio State is and understand this program, and our philosophy is not going to change.
Far left, Jacob
Hey Ryan, I'm sure it was nice to see Chris Olave return to form and kind of fill the stat sheets for you guys. I think we all know what he can do on the field. Just with him being, coming back for another year, just what does he do off the field that maybe we don't get to see that you may want to highlight?
Well, I think he's practiced very well. I think the challenge for Chris is that, he's highly driven and understanding that, in order for us to get to what we need to as an offense and as a team, he has to be unselfish. And, there's certain things that teams will do to try to maybe take some things away. And there's going to be stretches where the ball doesn't come his way. But if he just continues to do exactly what the play is designed to do and continues to give great effort and have a great attitude, the ball eventually is going to find him like it did yesterday or the other day. And so I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges he's dealing with right now. He's got no matter what, he's going to catch a ton of balls for us. He's got a really bright future. So it's more about just being in the right now and just doing what's best for the team at that moment. He's got a lot of big plays ahead of him this year. And, but I also think that there's, he puts a little bit of pressure on himself because he wants to be the best in the country. And that's good. That's what we want. We want guys like that. But his experience has really helped that room. I think that the wide receiver room has really matured in the last year. And because of that, you're starting to see that on the field.
Speaking of big plays, Travion Henderson obviously has made some over the last few weeks. Can you just update his status after you held him out in the second half and just what you see from him on the sidelines?
Yeah, he's good to go.
Ryan, what is it specifically that Mitch Rossi has done to become a guy that you trust to play in so many specific situations?
Yeah, he's he's been in the program now for a while. He's gone through off seasons. He's got himself stronger. He's very intelligent, but he's really developed as a football player. He plays with a really great pad level, and he's got a unique skill set. He was a converted high school running back, and made the move over here to tight end, and so he can do some different things for us. He's got good ball skills, understands, has a good football IQ, understands how we're trying to attack defenses. He's got, again, does a good job in the pass game and in the run game. So a lot of versatility there, and having a mature guy there who's been around, a little bit older guy, is helping us.
You use a guy like that as an example for your team of that you get what you earn?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when you come here at Ohio State as a walk-on, you have to embrace a role. Now, there's also going to be an opportunity along the way, and you can see some of our guys are getting on the field as walk-ons, and so those opportunities will be there. But like you said, you have to earn it. Nothing's given. Whether you're a scholarship player or a walk-on player, you have to earn it, and he's earned it. So hats off to him.
I know Mitch was placed on scholarship. Are there any other guys this year who have been added on scholarship?
Not right now.
Brian, I don't know just how the score went or how the game was going, but you guys just kind of shuffled the offensive line a couple of times. Threw Matt Jones out there. I think there was at left tackle, and Nick was back at right tackle. I guess what went into decisions like that in week 5 of the season?
Well, we got some guys that are just nicked up a little bit, and that's one thing. And then two, we also have really 6 or 7 guys we feel confident that we can put into a game. And while you typically don't do that with the offensive line, in this situation we felt like it was appropriate. Based on the situation of the game and what was going on and the week of practice leading up to the game. So I'm impressed with Matt when he's been in there. He's graded a champion now 2 weeks in a row. So anytime there's competition, that's a good thing.
So is that offensive line still kind of fluid as far as who's starting, or is it still the?
No, but I think we have now the opportunity to play some depth when we need to. And again, I think that's going to be super important as we head into the middle part of the season.
BuckeyesNow, Sports Illustrated.
Coach, obviously the season didn't start the way you wanted to for those first couple games. You've talked a lot about how much different this team looks now than what it did then. What are you most proud of over these last 3 weeks as you guys have gone through all this?
Well, we started off with a young team. I knew we were a little bit behind, in the spring and in the preseason, and tried to get to, but you really don't know until you get into games. And I think that anytime you're at Ohio State, the expectations are to win every game, and they're very, very high. But and we'll see how the season shakes out. But I'm proud of the development over the last month. It's been a little bumpy at times, but guys have come to work every day. The coaching staff's been steady, the leaders have been steady, and we're getting better. We're growing. I think we have a really bright future, and the more these guys play, and the better off we're going to be. And again, the question is, how quickly can we get to where we know we can be? How quickly can we get to to being a team that, can win a championship. Well, we got another challenge this week. Maryland's going to come in here and they got really good personnel and really good scheme. And so, we're going to have to play good again. I thought we played better last week, but we got to take the next step this week.
Maryland obviously coming off the game where they kind of stubbed their toe with 7 turnovers. Iowa's defense has caused more turnovers than anybody else in FBS in the last 4 years now. How many of those turnovers, when you evaluated Maryland, did you think were sloppy mistakes that Maryland made versus things that Iowa just did really well?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a combination of the two. And, Iowa's doing a great job on defense and creating turnovers. And I'm sure there's some things that, those guys wish they had back in terms of plays. But, and then you can start to press and things can get out of control and look worse than they actually are. So it's probably a little bit of both.
Quick one, the Big Ten has had a pretty impressive climb so far this year, especially in your division. 3 teams that didn't have good years last year that are playing really well this year. Can you speak to the depth and the competitiveness right now that you're seeing across the league?
Yeah, I think that we have really good coaches in this league, really good programs, really good players. Guys recruited at a high level. It's very, very competitive. And, when you look at the history of the Big Ten, that's the way it's been. And so I think it's exciting for our conference. And, I think as we head into November here, the good news is, some of the top teams in the country are going to be in this conference. So it makes it exciting for everybody involved.
Ryan, when you were projecting or thinking about what Trey could provide this year, how long did you think it might take till he could do stuff like this?
I thought it'd take a little bit longer than it has because he didn't play his senior year of high school. And then stepping into this situation is a lot. But I also saw a guy in the spring who was very serious about his work, very mature, takes care of his body. If he makes a mistake, I mean, he's the hardest person on himself. So all that was good. And then you see the talent. So still, has a ways to grow and build, but you can see the ceiling there.
I'm trying to think of the right way to put this. Like the last couple of weeks, 8 carries, I think 9 carries in both of those games. One was precautionary, one was a blowout. Is it good or bad that he's not getting this heavy workload if he's going to be the starter moving forward?
Well, I think, it's a long year and he's young. So I don't think it's a bad thing. But like you said, you also want him to get the reps and the work. But I think he's also learning a lot in practice and getting those things in practice. But we have depth at that position. So we're going to use that as a strength. And, if we find ourselves in a situation where we're up comfortably like that, we're not going to be foolish and put him in a bad spot if he's not 100%. And that was just the way it was, and we'll just take each week as it comes because, these things take twists and turns, as we know. So, we're going to do everything we can that's best for him at the time. But yeah, the more he plays, the better he's getting.
All right. Obviously, this is a week-to-week thing. But you said after the game, you agreed this was finally the team that you hoped to see. Do you feel like maybe the clouds have kind of separated a little bit, and you feel like, okay, now we can kind of take off now, or is it just?
No, I don't want to say that because we had one good week, but now we got to go do it again and prove we can do it again. But there is momentum there. I think you can see it. We saw it the way we practiced. If we don't have a good week of practice, it's not going to continue. We still have a young team. We're not all of a sudden out of the woods here. This is still a work in progress. And so, we got to bring it every week now. And the more times we can do that, the more we can grow upon and experiences we can look back on and say, okay, we've done it here. We've been down in games at halftime. We've been up in games where we finished teams out. We've had some different things where in the past, we didn't exactly have all those experiences. I think that in the last month we have grown, but where we're at, we'll see as we head into Maryland.
In terms of the defense, probably the best performance of the season. What did you like about it, and what did you see that you still think you still need to grow here?
I think that the aggressiveness was there. I thought we changed up some looks. I thought that we created turnovers. I thought we practiced well during the week, and I thought the looks were accurate to what we were seeing, and I thought they carried that over to the game well, and the execution was done well there. And anytime you combine all those things with great effort and good tackling, then you got a chance to be good. So I also like the fact that, when they scored a touchdown, that one play touchdown, we came right back the next play, blocked the extra point, and it didn't bother us. We didn't have our heads down when we came to the sideline. We blocked the extra point, and it's like it didn't even happen. We had a quick quick memory on that thing. We move on to the next series and played well the rest of that half. So I think that was good as well.
One more, just a quick one about JTT. He started last week. He's obviously playing. You've been impressed with him all along. What stands out to him right now?
Well, I think that those young guys have had a lot on their plate. They've had to play a lot. I mean, it was, kind of baptism by fire, and they brought it every day. And JT's one of those guys, and it's going to pay off huge dividends in the future for these guys. And they're being asked to do a lot as young guys right now. And so hopefully as we get some of the other guys healthy and they can take some of the load off of their shoulders, then that whole unit will be stronger. But between Tyleek and Jack and JT and those guys, I give them credit as young guys to stepping in and taking that on. But now you can start seeing some of the older guys. You saw Javonte make some plays. Zach Harrison's made some plays. That's going to be really good for that unit. And moving forward, it's going to really help our depth.
Ryan, you're talking about some of the steps that defense has made here. No offense to your previous two opponents, but Maryland's got, I think, a little more skill and obviously a bigger challenge at quarterback with Talia. Are you viewing this as like, okay, let's see what we have? This is kind of what we've been trying to tweak things for. Just look, how do you feel about your defense going into a matchup against an offense that's potentially explosive?
Yeah, no, they have good players, and Talia is a very good quarterback, and they have good scheme. Coach Locks does a really good job. So, I mean, that's playing conference football though in the Big Ten. I mean, we got to bring it every week, and they're going to go up against good players, and we gotta bring it. So, yeah, I mean, now we're into Game 6 here, so we're going to be going against good teams, good offenses, good defenses, and now we got to go play.
I think there was an anticipation or an expectation maybe in the preseason that Ronnie and Craig would maybe rotate a little bit at Bullet, and that hasn't really seemed to play out. Is that just because Ronnie's kind of taking that thing and ran with it, or do you need to see more from Craig right now?
No, I think Ronnie's done a very good job. He's obviously been very, very productive, and we're moving Craig into a little bit of a different role there, and so he's kind of finding his way in that new role, trying to find a way for us to get them both on the field because they're both very talented.
Is that like kind of a pass rusher up at the line kind of thing for Craig sometimes?
I mean, you've seen him do that a little bit on third down, but first and second down a little bit more off the ball. Yeah.
When you were just talking about Chris Olave a second ago, it's the idea of like, hey, give it up for the team and don't worry about your touches. How much for you as a head coach and play caller, how much is managing the touches for the really skilled guys who you have multiple guys who could get the ball 15 times a game? Is that any part of your job or not really?
Well, I mean, I think, you have to do the best you can to make sure that the guys who deserve to have the ball get touches. I mean, that's part of it. But what you can't do is let that, rule the day. You have to do what's best for the team. And if, like in the Tulsa game, if they're dropping 8 guys, if the best thing is to run the ball for 7 yards, we got to run the ball. And that's just what's best for Ohio State. And that's playing the game of football. And when you come in with expectations and things like that, that's when you can get a little bit sideways. So, we're going to do everything we can to give guys opportunities to make plays, but there's just some times where it's not going to work out that way. And that's for everybody across the board on offense. And, we have to understand that as we go into the game and try to do that best we can to explain that to the team is that, if somebody decides they're going to take X away, they can do that. That's going to open up Y and Z. And so that's kind of how the game plan fits this week. And these guys are all highly competitive and high achievers. And so, they want to make an impact and I get it. That's why they're here. And that's why we love them.
And you had talked before the season a couple times about in college football, you lose one game and it can ruin your season. It doesn't always, but it can. And you had not dealt with the regular season loss as a head coach here. Now that that's in your rear view mirror a couple weeks, how did you deal with that? You as the coach, you with the team, and was it something that you had to work through it all because you had not had to do that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, anytime you lose a game, there's a lot that comes with that. Certainly the first thing to do is to identify why you lost and identify what the issues are, and then act, but don't overreact and get them fixed. I think, but the most important thing is to be steady, not to panic and to do things the right way. And I think that really matters. And I think, you see when things don't go well in life, when you hit adversity, you have to be really good about the team and making sure that the guys understand that, listen, better days are coming. The sun's going to rise tomorrow. We have some issues that we got to get fixed, but let's just be steady in the boat here and work through those issues, because that's life, and that's, around here it's a little harder, but that's okay. And I thought, although it was bumpy there for a little while, we kind of steadied the boat, and hopefully we get this thing going back where we need to go.
Ryan, regarding Mitch, I know fullback is kind of a literal and figurative F word around here. Maybe is his skill set maybe have you thinking about looking into that body type more in recruiting, or is it just if a tight end shows up at 6'2", you don't immediately write him off, that sort of thing?
Yeah, no, I mean he has the ability to kind of do some of those things like you're talking about. We've done that before with tight ends. If you remember, we've done it with Luke. We've done it with Rashad Berry over the years, where he kind of came in the backfield a little bit. So Mitch is a little bit shorter and built a little lower to the ground, so he's a little bit better at that kind of stuff. And so, but we've run that play before. We do, in the goal line. At times we'll bring bigger guys in the game if we think that gives us an advantage. Sometimes it doesn't. You've seen us do both this year. But Mitch, and again, being a college football coach, you have to figure out year in and year out what your personnel looks like. I mean, there's times where we've been here with JT where we just get into a situation where the quarterback catches it and he's running. He's the running back. Well, now, in this situation, we like some of our tight end body types. Mitch can kind of do some of those things. So we try to design plays that put him in his best situation to be successful. And that's an example of that.
Doing some pretty unprecedented things for a defensive tackle, freshman at Ohio State. 4 sacks already, more than anybody on the team had last year. Playing limited snaps, is it getting to the point where you want to see him out there more, or obviously you trust Larry, but would you like to see Tyleek maybe getting some more action?
I mean, he's going to keep playing. He's going to keep growing. He's done a really good job so far, and hasn't always been easy for him. There's been different things he's had to deal with, and I got a lot of respect for him as a young man. And he's flashed at times. So all the work he's getting right now is going to pay huge dividends, here as we head into the middle part of this conference schedule. But no, either way, he'll be on the field. Yeah.
Second row left, Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Yeah, obviously the game Friday went really askew from what we'd seen from Maryland those first 4 games against a different level of competition. But from when you watch Tagovailoa, what do you see there as a quarterback, and what ways do you think he can challenge his defense?
Yeah, he gets the ball out quick. He's competitive. He sees the field. He's accurate. He can make long throws. He can make short throws. He can anticipate with touch. And you can tell he's a student of the game, just the way he's got a little it factor to him, understands situations. He's a very good quarterback.
How are you guys right now sort of assessing defensive progress when you haven't necessarily seen an offense that's going to challenge you in dynamic ways?
Well, the issues are always there. That's what I say all the time. Whether we lose a game or win a game, the issues haven't changed. It's just the scoreboard said something different. So it's the job of the coaches and then the job of the players to embrace the criticism and the constructive criticism and getting things fixed. Whether it's schematically, whether it's technique, whether it's fundamentals, what it's tackling. I mean, there are issues along the way. Maybe it's not the right guy in the right spot, and so when you start to project against other teams, you have to do a good job, and that's coaching. This isn't going to work against this guy, or this isn't going to work against this scheme. So we have to make an adjustment and forecast those type of things.
Just to clarify real quick, did you say you are moving Craig Young somewhere, or are you referring to the fact that he has been moving?
Both. I mean, he's moving around to a couple different spots. Yeah.
Deep left, Mark Snyder, press pro.
Coach, the turnovers you're getting are really crippling to the other team. Is this a process of maybe all 3 of your levels of defense gelling, a little bit more confidence now, like I'm going to go make a play on that ball rather than just kind of sit back and play it safe?
I think so. I think when you look at the timing of when the quarterback's getting the ball out of his hand, and when our defensive line is getting to the quarterback, you add those 2 things up. I think that's why you're seeing some of those turnovers in the passing game, because if the ball's coming out of his hand quick, just like this, the rush isn't getting home. It's too easy. Now, if he's holding on to the ball for an extra second or 2, now the D-line has an opportunity to get home. And so I think when you combine the two of those things, that's why you're seeing some more of that stuff. But I also think we've done a good job of changing up looks, and I think our guys are getting more experience and feeling more comfortable in the scheme.
And is with regard to Marcus Crowley, we're going to be talking to him tomorrow, I believe. Is this a product of him earning more playing time, or is it an injury, or a combination of both?
He's had some different things in his career, but he has practiced hard, and I thought he played hard the other day. I thought he ran hard, had a nice catch on a third down conversion in a big spot early in the game. So that was encouraging to see.
Ty Leak and JTT does that push some of the old heads to be better when these kids are?
Well, I think that whole unit is tight, and they all want to play, and Larry does a great job of rolling guys. So a lot of guys get reps in that room anyways. You can see them as time goes on, and it's good to have depth in there. But anytime there's competition, that's a good thing. But I think it's more about, getting those guys in and out of the game, keeping them fresh, and being there for the entire season. But yeah, I mean, it's great to see, different faces show up even in that game last week. Some young, some old. That's what you want.
You kept the beard and won. Is that gonna change your?
It's not going to change right now. We've got to keep it going.
Right behind. Do you have another question? No?
Go ahead.
All right. Right behind him, Adam, WBNS.
Well, Coach, kind of as Doug pointed out, this is your first time with the regular season loss. I'm just curious how much you find yourself maybe scoreboard watching now that the team doesn't fully control their own destiny, and how much you look around college football.
Yeah, and always watch and see how other teams are doing, see what's going on in the national landscape. But it's more important about us. It's always been about us and how well we play, and because you can't control any of that stuff. All you can control is how much better we get. And if we continue to get better and keep growing as the season goes on, then hopefully we'll be tough to beat at the end of the season.
Right next door, Don Caberry, WBNS.
Coach, you guys are big favorites against these guys. With that said, you have a young football team. What do you say to those guys? And I don't know, Maryland got beat up pretty bad this week, but what jumps out when you look at them?
Well, they have good personnel, and we have to. It really comes down to how well we practice this week. That's a big part of how well we do on Saturday. So very, very important day today and tomorrow. We got to bring it, and the better we prepare, then the more confidence we can play with on Saturday. But another big challenge for us, a conference game, first conference game at home, and good team. They have good skill, good athleticism, good quarterback. They've played some teams really, really tough, and last week was to throw that game out and go off of what we've seen in the past with them, because they're dangerous.
Coach, it's one thing to recruit like you guys do, 5-star players and all that. It's another thing to develop them. In that process, there'd be growing pains this year. This deep in the season, are you where you thought you would be? I mean, with this club.
I didn't know. I didn't know where we'd be at this point. I think that we were making progress. I kind of felt like we were making progress midway through last week. You could kind of see it the way we were practicing, and we finally put it on the field and put together a complete game. And I thought that was good. Conference road game, but still a long way to go. A long season. We're by no means all of a sudden arrived. We still got, like you said, a very, very young team, and we got to keep developing. But again, the more we're investing in these guys, the more work we're putting into this team, the stronger we're going to get. And it's one thing to just kind of, come into the season and win a bunch of games and just kind of cruise along. It's another thing to go through tough times and find out who people are and where things are at, and that you got to go earn it every week. Nothing's going to be given. I think that's one thing that, this team and this program understands right now is you're not just going to walk out and beat anybody. And you got to show up and you got to play.
Second row right, Tim May, Letterman Row.
Yeah, Ryan, as y'all say, there's no I in team, but there is in y'all's playbook, obviously, now. And of course, it looked like, at least appearance-wise, y'all ran a triple option to the edge one time. And what brings about getting into those formations, getting into those plays, because you're throwing them out there to whoever's going to be watching down the road and stuff. And just every week, do you try to add a little something else? But what does it mean to kind of throw those out there And obviously you got in the eye, but you threw the ball to the fullback in the right flat.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's we started going under center the last couple of years, and you saw the sneak a couple times over the last couple of years. And you've seen some things. We've had a couple multiple tight ends in the backfield and under center things, and so we're continually working through things. And this game is cyclical. I mean, a lot of teams now they're built to stop spread teams. And Tulsa was a great example of that. I mean, they were 3-down linemen and then 8 DBs out there, and that's designed to stop the spread. And so, we have to continually evolve on offense and figure out, how can we make it hard for teams to match up against us.
You touched on this a minute ago, but I want to follow up. Y'all gave up that big touchdown play. I'm talking about early when the game was maybe in a little bit of jeopardy. But then Haskell Garrett drives through to block the extra point. I mean, a leader of that team. What does that do for Haskell? What does it do for the team to see a guy like that say, next play, make the play?
Well, I think what it's showing is that, when something bad happens, we're not going to put our head down. I think that maybe there was a time, early in the season where if something went bad, it was like, okay, guys, we're okay. We got to keep playing. And we're getting harder. We're starting to build that callus up. Like, okay, it was a bad play. Let's go on to the next thing. And then all of a sudden you block the extra point. We got a little bit of juice. And then, we get a bunch of 3-and-outs and play really well on defense. And they didn't flinch. And that's the sign of a team that's maturing. And I was very impressed with that.
But with Haskell specifically, I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
You've got to be liking what you're seeing from him from a leadership.
Yeah, no, he absolutely. To make plays like that and to have some energy and be a leader like that. That's what we need on this team is that, those veteran guys playing veteran and acting veteran.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, Tim's second question there was the 400th question you've taken in this room since the start of fall camp. We'll wrap it up with Patrick Murphy.
Appreciate you, Jerry.
Hard to follow that. At times this past week, we saw the defensive ends dropping back a bit in coverage, linebackers kind of taking that spot. In order to do that, how much athleticism do you need, trust in your defensive ends to drop in coverage? Because I imagine not every defensive end is coached to do that at this level.
Yeah, no, our guys are athletic and they can do that. And that certainly gives the defense a different look and something maybe that they're not counting on. So, the more that these guys can handle, we also have to make sure that we're being fundamental and being sound. And but we're also changing things up a little bit, and that's good. And we have the right guys to do it. You look at Javante and you look at Zach and JT and Jack and some of they can really do some different things. They're very, very good athletes. So the more versatility that they can show, the more looks we can be and more versatile we can be on defense.
Great. Coach, thank you very much.
All right, guys, thanks.
Yeah, 401 now. Hey folks, Pat, it might be 15 before we get a player in here, just FYI. told everybody, or a number of you, he went on scholarship this year. But you've talked to him a couple times, and we'll open up the floor for more questions for Chris. Front row, middle, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Mitch. First of all, what did it mean to you to get on a scholarship, and what do you think about your role in this team?
Yeah, it was an awesome feeling. You know, it was kind of a testament to all the people that kind of helped me get there. You know, it's really big for me and my parents, and they made so many sacrifices for me to get here, and they're here for every game. They've done so much for me. So, really special moment calling them after that and telling them that I got put on scholarship. It was awesome. So that was really the biggest thing for me. Oh yeah, I'm excited. Every week it seems like it's growing a little bit, and just trying to prove myself. You know, it's good to be trusted and be thrown in there early in the game these days now. So it's exciting. You know, still trying to be good on special teams, all the units I play on there, and whatever fullback, tight end role I seem to fit in is awesome. So
Right next door, Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Mitch, how did you learn you were on scholarship? Like sometimes you see like the coach give like a presentation to like the guy in front of the team. Like how did you kind of like learn?
I just had a meeting with Coach Day and Coach Wilson, and because I graduated last year in May, and I was done with school, so I needed to be on scholarship to be able to come back, or else I would have had to pay extra on top of the tuition for 4 years. So I had a meeting with them, and then called my parents with Coach Wilson after, and that was basically it.
No dramatic presentation.
No. Now, there's a lot of other guys on the team who are very deserving. Cade Kaczerski, X Johnson, Booker, Sam Wiglis, Ryan Batch, all those guys are equally deserving. I was just in a little bit different situation from them. So, I'm just glad that I got the opportunity.
Well, third row left, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
First of all, do you want us to call you a fullback or a tight end?
Y'all can call me whatever you want, man. It don't matter to me.
What do you feel like it is that you've been able to do over the course of your time here that's enabled you to get into this position to where you are playing as much as you want?
Yeah, I think consistency has been huge, just being there every day. I learned a lot watching Luke Farrell at tight end and Ruck and Jake Houseman. And, I think I've done a good job of just kind of observing, seeing what works, what's been successful, and then trying to apply it to my own game, and just staying consistent, working hard every day, basically.
For you personally, when you made the decision to come here, I'm sure you could have gone somewhere else, probably been on scholarship from the beginning. What was it that made you decide to come here and be a part of this?
It's actually kind of a crazy story, but me and Max Ray came up and visited together, and this was a dream that I had my whole life. Both my parents are from Ohio, and I grew up a huge fan, and it's kind of just one of those things when you get an opportunity, you can't let it go, and you just chase it, and just kind of keep your head down, and now we're here.
Well, second row right, Austin Ward, Letterman row.
Mitch, if it's cool if we call you a fullback, have you won that battle with the coaching staff? Like, if you go out there and like the play that you scored on,
Mm-hmm.
would you identify that as being fullback, or what would they call that?
We kind of really haven't had a fullback in our offense in a while, I guess, since Zach Bourne, really. So I think it's just cool that they even have the set in there. I guess it's kind of a testament to a lot of hard work I've done. But either way, I like fullback. I think that's better for me. But
Why is there a resistance to it? That's clearly what it was.
it probably stresses y'all and Jerry out more than it bothers me, honestly. I don't really care. But whatever you want to put on there on the roster, Jerry, is good with me.
No depth chart, that just troubles me. To think fullback and tight end and receivers. Fourth row middle, Pat Murphy, 24/7.
Mitch, the touchdown on Saturday, obviously a big deal. Still part of the game when things are kind of in question. What did that mean to you? What do you think it meant to the team? And going forward, knowing that that's in the arsenal now for Ohio State's offense, how can that help make other teams prepare for something they haven't really seen from them?
Yeah, it's something that we prepared for. We had that set in, and I was just glad, that Coach Day trusted me enough to call the play in the game, and moving forward, just continuing to earn that trust and being able to be called on in an important part of the game is awesome. And, that's really what I strive to work for every day, be more in the mix, basically.
Any nerves when you're lining up there, knowing the ball could be coming your way in the end?
Yeah, I mean, usually I'm kind of not in the spotlight really in a lot of the jobs that I do, but it was exciting. A lot of my teammates were really happy for me on the sideline and in the champions meeting, and so it was awesome to have the support of everybody. It felt great.
Deep left, Brendan Gulick, BuckeyesNow on Sports Illustrated.
Mitch, clearly the touchdown is kind of a defining moment for you during your time here. Are there other moments that stand out to you when you reflect on your time as an Ohio State player that maybe we haven't had a chance to see?
Yeah, that's a good question. I got moved over from running back to tight end. I guess that was kind of a big moment for me. I think that just was better for my skill set. And then eventually, I think just getting put on a special teams, eventually traveling, getting in at the end of games, and then just kind of progressively working my way up, just kind of through those benchmarks is basically how it's been going.
Kind of answered Dan's question about why Ohio State, but have your expectations and your hopes been met, been exceeded? Like where are you versus what you thought this would be like?
Yeah, way exceeded, I would say. I was just happy to get the opportunity to come here. I could have chosen a lot of other paths, maybe a lot of easier routes, played sooner, or just been a normal college student. I was thinking about that too. But I just wanted to do something that I would be proud of, that would make me a better person as a whole, make my parents proud. And that's kind of how I've been rolling since then.
Fourth row middle, Colin Gay, Rivals.
Mitch, in high school or in your time playing running back here, I mean, did you ever run with a fullback? I mean, did that come new to you, or?
I played a lot of different positions in high school. I did do like I played running back and kind of tight end both in high school. I'd never run behind a fullback, I don't think, but I've run the ball a lot in my life. So I think kind of the spatial awareness, finding a hole and trying to lead the running back in is something that kind of came pretty natural just because of that, because I'd had the ball in my hands a lot in my life. So that kind of came natural to me.
You mentioned Luke and just guys that had played kind of that hybrid position before. I'm curious about what schematically did you learn from them to kind of master kind of that? I mean, because obviously tight ends at Ohio State have been very, very key on blocking too. So I'm curious about how is there a different style? Is there a different, I don't know, like what's different between blocking as a tight end?
I think for our position group, we try to bring the same attitude to every single block, and we like to play very aggressive. I think that fullback blocks are definitely more aggressive, more downhill. You don't really have a lot of scheme to kind of like hide behind. Basically, it's kind of just isolation blocks. From Luke and those guys, he was just so detailed. He had really, really good feet, really good hand placement. He played in football position all the time, So it's just seeing how his habits had led to him being really successful at blocking, and I think the jobs that we asked him to do, that helped me give an example and just try to ask questions, pick his brain and stuff like that, and has really helped me.
Second row right, Tim May, Letterman Row.
Yeah, I think I asked you this in preseason, Mitch, but why do you think they're so reluctant to call something that, walks like a fullback and talks like a fullback here? Is it to keep up the spread offense look? I mean, what do you think the reluctance is?
That question might be a little bit above my pay grade, honestly. I'm not.
You've done a lot of fullbackish stuff even in the past,
Yeah, I think it's more like so we do a lot of two tight ends and the second guy's the H. So I guess it's just kind of more of an H job than the Y, basically, is really what it is.
And when you guys jumped in that on Saturday, the eye I'm talking about, obviously they jumped off sides. But did you hear a lot of talk on the other side of the line, like what's going on here? I mean, because they would not have seen that probably on much video.
No, I don't.
Did you pay attention to any of that?
Not too much. I think that it was a situation where we were like within a yard. So I think they're playing the same defense regardless, trying basically protecting for an inside run. So, I don't think that they're probably a little surprised. I'm sure, they hadn't been practicing for that, but I mean, they probably in the same defense, just trying to stop the run basically. And we caught them.
And then you went to flat. And the last thing, do you guys try to add something every week? Have you noticed offensively, just a little new wrinkle and stuff? It seems like almost every week we see something a little bit new about you guys.
I mean, yeah, if you walk by Coach Day's office at any time, it could be Friday afternoon, and he's still watching film, looking for something every single day. So, I mean, he just wants to put us in the best position. Every defense is different. They play every scheme different. So, he's just trying to put us in the best position possible to succeed. So, yeah, every week he's always, constantly changing and trying to make the best play possible for us.
Second row left, Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Mitch, you saw CJ, going back to the spring and through the offseason, through the preseason, saw him the first few games and then saw him again Saturday. Was Saturday did you guys see something different from him on Saturday? Did he look and feel differently out there?
I think just, as a team, we've just been trying to have a new attitude, like coming back from the Oregon game, as a whole, just, trying to bounce back, have a fresh attitude. I wouldn't say I saw anything specifically from CJ. I trust in him. He's our leader. He's our quarterback. He's a great player, and, we don't falter behind him. And every week, we think the best guys in the position to play. So
you mentioned before the champions list. How much do you feel like the whole roster buys into that? And is it especially crucial for guys who are maybe more like role players to keep them engaged, keep them, active in their role on the team?
It's just the eye in the sky never lies, basically. So it's just going back and looking at the film and, did you play in a way that's going to help the team win? That's what grading out a champion is, It's different for every position group, so sometimes it's like the criteria, I guess, could be confusing. I'm not sure, but, it's a big thing for people who may not get the touchdowns, but, they help make the play happen in a different way, Obviously, people who don't get a lot of credit, maybe me before had never scored before, didn't really get the ball a lot, but I was playing well in my role. It's recognition for stuff like that, I guess.
Far left, Justin is engaged, WCMH.
Kind of going off that question, how important can special teams be, from your experience, in making your name known and being a catalyst for not just being on special teams, but making an argument to be more than that?
Yeah, it's super important. I mean, even the guys who come in here are super highly touted recruits. The rule is that you have to play on special teams before you play on offense and defense. It's kind of always been that way. But for guys like me, it's just it's a really good way to get recognized, for different types of skill sets, and it's been really huge, like getting onto the travel squad because, they ask when they're making that list, does this guy provide value? Can we find someone else to do this job? So, if you're someone that they trust and you're not replaceable on those units, then you're going to get on the bus and eventually your role is going to continue to grow more and more.
You mentioned being able to play at different schools. What was it that kept you here as opposed to going to the transfer portal where that's more common now, especially with that 4-game rule?
I hadn't really thought about it. I was just trying to be a good student and contribute to the team. I hadn't even really thought about that. I had my friends here. I got a lot of family in Ohio, and I just stuck with it. I didn't falter.
Third row left, Bill Landis, The Athletic.
Mitch, you mentioned you were a pretty good running back in high school. I know you played rugby. Is there a fullback run call in the playbook? And if there's not, should there be?
You guys just have to keep looking out for that one, I guess.
Do you the position you're using sometimes we're talking about a lot, and playing rugby I think requires a certain amount of craziness to subject yourself to that kind of physicality. Why are you into? Why do you like it?
I enjoy watching a lot of those guys, like Devlin's, and even going back to like Mike Allstott or Lenzo Neal, like those guys playing fullback. I think that the physicality is necessary, and then if you like it, it's just probably makes you that much better at fullback, honestly. So, I think it's just you don't ever want to be hesitant. You don't want to play slow, and that's the attitude I bring to the game, basically.
Just a couple more. Far left, Mark Snyder, Press Post.
Mitch, when you got here, did you look at any other non-scholarship player that you kind of didn't necessarily pick his brain, but got guidance and go, hey, this is possible. I can see the field.
Absolutely. I mean, that was huge. So when I first got here, Zach Turnier had just gotten put on scholarship, and he sat up here in the front row and was a huge part of special teams. and even a little bit played some of that fullback role that I'm trying to now fill. CJ Saunders was a guy who was super, super huge, basically just kind of giving me guidance, giving me advice, kind of showing me a path. And, it's huge when it's tough, coming in as a walk-on and as a freshman in general, you need your brothers to lean on. And I had a bunch of guys like that who were really good to help me see a path through.
Over here, far right, play ball to the SYX.
You talk about making your parents proud. Were they at the game?
Yeah, they were in Rutgers. Yeah.
Was there sometimes I'm old, I got 3 kids. Sometimes their achievements will make you emotional. Was that?
Yeah. I don't know if my dad, I gave him a big hug after the game and he had a couple of tears in his eye, and, my mom was pretty emotional too. But yeah, that was a really, really special moment, seeing them after the game. It was accumulation of a lot of stuff. And, they've seen everything that I've been through more than anybody else. And, they know all the texts at night. I'm like, man, this is so hard. I got to go back in the morning. And so, that's my biggest support system. That's, who I do it for. So yeah, it was a really, really, really special moment to see them.
And got just two more questions. Third row right, Tony Girdman, Buckeye Scoop.
Mitch, you see the pride from your parents, but how much fun have you given them throughout these years doing this?
Yeah, definitely. And that's like I said, they're both from Ohio, so they get to come back and see relatives and visit and bring their old friends to games and stuff like that. So yeah, it's awesome for them, and I hope I can give them back what they've given to me over the years.
And then we've seen these hybrid offensive positions at Ohio State be named after the players, like the Curtis Samuel position. Should the tight end / fullback just be the Mitch Rossi?
No, man, I don't need that. Any one of us could do the job. I think that just the way that it worked out was that I got the opportunity. I believe in anybody in the unit to do it. So it's not a Mitch Rossi position, but I'm glad to have it for now.
And final questions. Far right, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman row.
Mitch, when you were playing special teams like you were, was there a moment where you're blocking people on special teams and you realize, like, I think I can do this on offense?
Yeah, a lot of the same techniques, a lot of the same emphasis on realizing things that work and maybe being able to apply it to a different thing. Like, especially like I played on kickoff return for a long time, and that's really good for kind of like perimeter blocking, pass pro when you're kind of on an island. But yeah, definitely kind of realizing that I could potentially have a role after, winning competitive reps and stuff like that. It for sure happened like through my freshman, sophomore year. Definitely.
Larry and Ryan Dave both said the scholarship guys kind of cut their teeth on special teams when they get here as freshmen. Like, how important is it for the offense to be able to make some hay on special teams?
Yeah, like I said, Justin Hilliard was a huge recruit, and he played on every single unit on special teams. It's not easy to break through and get on those depth charts. But yeah, it's big for me. I get really excited when I see guys like Cade Kaczerski and Chris Booker and X Johnson, those guys making plays on special teams. It's awesome. It's good for the brand. It's good for everybody. So yeah, it's great to see.
Mitch, thank you so much.
Thank you. My dad is from Bay Village.
open up the floor for questions for Nicholas Petit-Frere. Open it up, second row left. Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Nick, how did it feel to be back at right tackle for a couple snaps on Saturday?
You know, it was just a funny feeling, just getting back out there. We talked about it at halftime, and Coach said asked if I wanted to swing back over to right tackle, and I was just like, sure. New challenge, you know, having to just go right from playing left for a good amount of games to having to switch back to right. But it was just a nice feeling, getting another chance to play with Paris, who's an amazing player. So it was just fun, just being back out there.
You said he told you at halftime, so did you not know that at some point that was going to happen on Saturday until game time?
No.
Over here, far right, Austin Ward, Letterman Row.
You had told us before that you thought you guys could rotate, that you could play more than 5, but the offensive line rarely do that. What is it that makes you think that you guys can continue this if need be?
We just worked so hard during the off season, from spring ball to summer to fall camp, and we have a really good group of guys this year. We have a really talented group of guys. Everyone around me is probably some of the best players I've ever played with, some of the most dedicated players I've ever played with, and we have a really strong bond as an offensive line unit, and we all believe and trust in each other, and that belief and trust has kind of built us to where we are right now.
Is there any part where, you know, Thayer had told Dwan that if he earned it that he'd move to guard? Is it the way that Matt Jones is playing that you guys said, hey, let's give some of these reps to Matt? Or does that just, you know, how does that work out?
I mean, he's just been having great weeks of practice. He stepped in a great way when Thayer went down at left guard. And, you know, we always had faith in Matt, and he also proved it when he went out there to help out when Thayer went down and stuff like that. So we had all confidence in the world for us to let Matt play and to get more reps. And it's just kind of telling about our offensive line as a whole, about how talented they all are and how able we are and trusting for us to put anyone in any position anytime.
Second row right, Joey Hoffman, Columbus Dispatch.
Nick, Maryland's leads or is tied for first in the Big Ten with sacks. Anything stand out about like the way they're able to get pressure on quarterbacks, or just anything stand out about their front seven?
They have an amazing front seven. I mean, they have probably one of the more talented front sevens in the Big Ten, maybe even college football. They're a bunch of great guys that have a lot of athletic talents, and they're very strong as well. And they're coached by an amazing coach there. So they're just a talented front seven. So it's a great challenge. It is a great opportunity for us to go up against a group like that.
Your guys' offense, the last couple of weeks, you've been able to get off to strong starts, 24 points in the first quarter last week against Rutgers. That hadn't always happened in the first couple of games. It took a while for like things to kind of click and for you guys to put up points. What was maybe like different offense that you think get off to fast starts last couple of weeks?
I think we're just kind of coming into ourselves as offensive players. We were a younger group, and we feel like a really different group from week 1 to week 4. We kind of talked about that. We said, like, we've had a whole month of us playing football. Where are we now? Have we improved? Have we shown that we've grown? Have we shown that we've learned from things that maybe weren't going right in the first week, or maybe things that we thought that we could improve on and get better at that were going right in the first week? Are we able for us to not only be a good offense and improve on the mistakes, but also to enhance the things that we do well? So I think that we were able to do that, and that's kind of why we're going the way we're going right now.
Fourth row middle, Colin Gay, Rivals.
We talked to you guys about our linemen in the past, about the relationship between, say, the tight end, just the outside blockers, and I'm curious about, you know, what's your relationship there with them to make sure that the tight ends are doing their job in terms of the blocking game, the wide receivers are doing what they need to. Is there, you know, conversations between the two unit groups, or what does that look like on your end to kind of encourage them to do their job on the outside?
There's conversations between everyone as a whole, as an offense. There's no need for encouragement. I mean, everyone here, whether you're a wide receiver or running back, a tight end, offensive lineman, we all understand our responsibility is for us to block when we need to block and to make plays when we need to make plays. And this is probably one of the most unselfish groups that we've had here at Ohio State in terms of that, in terms of people being unselfish and going out there and trying to block for someone, even if they don't get the ball, or if they don't get the ball a lot of times, because it's not about the stats that someone accumulates or things like that. It's more about just the team and to get the offense rolling, to the offense better, because as we get the offense rolling, it kind of helps everyone else out. You know, if we help someone else get whatever they need to get done and get their responsibilities on, it kind of works out in the end. That's usually how it always goes.
Is there a difference between what you guys do, I don't know, schematically, or what your job is when there's a fullback behind you? or what? How does that affect the run game when you add an additional blocker, whether it's Mitch or another tight end? Does it provide a little bit of stability, or how much does that help you do what you guys need to do in run blocking?
It's about the same. I mean, it doesn't matter whether or not we put them at tight end or if we put them at fullback or if we go with all wideouts and they're blocking instead. I mean, whatever we do, we have full confidence that anyone that's out there on the field for them to either make a play when it terms of pass plays or to make a play in terms of run blocking. There's no one on anyone that we play that we don't have full confidence in, because that's what we train to do every single day, and we have a toughness about our offense, and that's the way that we go out every single game.
Deep right, Spencer Holbrook, Letterman Row.
Nick, how much, I guess this is kind of a basic question, but how much fun do you have to be able to do what you guys are doing on the offensive line right now? Like is there an element of, like, if we're not having fun, we wouldn't be able to do as much as we want?
I mean, we're always having fun. I mean, it's not only about us having fun, but it's about the team that we have and the unit that we have in the offensive line. I think that's kind of something that a lot of people miss out on. Everyone just kind of thinks about, oh, they have a really talented group, or they have 5-star this, 5-star that, or, oh, this guy has these rankings here and these rankings there. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like, what really matters is that we love the love for one another that we have for each other, and the amount of respect and the amount of gratitude we have for us to play with people that we respect, not only on the field, but off the field, most importantly. And that kind of builds more of a sense of unit like strength together with us. That's kind of the thing that I would say about that.
You talk about how much this offensive line has improved through the season, but like, are you even a little surprised at how well you guys have handled not having Coach Stud for a couple weeks and the ability to just never rally around that and continue to get better? Like, are you even surprised at what you guys have been able to do?
I mean, that was a real big challenge, not having Coach Stud there for a few games, but we knew that Coach Stud was with us the whole way through. And something that he always told us, even when he wasn't there, was that revert back to your training. And when he was there was when we were training. When he was there during the summer, during the spring, during fall camp, he was still there. So when it came to him not being there, just like if someone goes down the offensive line, we still had to revert back to our training, and we're not going to let up. So even though he wasn't there, we reverted back to our training. We knew that he was with us, and he still was our coach, and everything that he taught us was still something that we would put out onto the field. And it's kind of weird because usually when someone goes down, you imagine it be an offensive lineman. It's like, okay, let's put someone else in. But when it's a coach, it's a kind of a different feel. But I feel like we kind of handle that in stride, and he said that we handled it in stride, and now we're back and rolling.
Second row middle, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Nick, you said you feel like a completely different team now compared to the start of the season. How much of that is just the natural growth of young players or inexperienced players? How much was losing to Oregon and that kind of gut punch? Is there any other factor you can point to how much or why this has changed so much?
I say a lot of guys stepped up, and a lot of guys stepped out in terms of being more vocal and being more comfortable in the positions that they were, because we didn't know that we had a younger team, and that was just kind of – and every year there's always a new kind of thing that we had to deal with. Either it's like a new – like last year we had the COVID season. We had to figure out how to deal with that. But like this year was kind of more about like having some guys that are in my class or a class above me trying to step into bigger, more prominent roles and trying to step out and become leaders. And, that's something that takes a little bit of time. But Coach Day acknowledged that, and he said that, look, this is something that you may not feel comfortable with at first, but you have to step out in front of a crowd. And maybe the first time you step out in front of a crowd and you try to talk to a team, it doesn't really work out. Or you say the wrong thing, or you're like, oh, that didn't sound right. But he's the type of person to tell you to, well, go back out and do it again. Get another rep at that. You got to keep putting yourself out there in front of people to have that confidence, to show that confidence not only in yourself, but to your teammates as well. And I feel like that's something that's been going on each and every week, and we've gotten better and better and better. And now we're at where we're at right now, and I think it's really good right now.
It didn't sound like there was one single moment that was a turning point, or was there?
It was a lot of moments. I mean, like, I wouldn't necessarily say there's one culminating moment that kind of made a shift. It was just kind of us building. Like like I said, like from week 1 to week 4, where are we now? We had a whole month of football. Have we continually improved? And if we have improved, what does it look like? And I think that we have done that.
Third row left, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Nick, you were talking about unselfishness. It seems like Mitch Rossi's a guy that embodies that with what he's done. I mean, just what does he bring to the team with everything that he does?
Just being one of the hardest working players that we have on our team, one of the most unselfish players on our team, like you said. Mitch Rossi is not only is he such a good player on the field in terms of him doing his job and doing anything he can to help the team win, but off the field, he's probably one of the better glue guys that we have here on our team. You know, like he's always someone that you can go to if you ever need anything, if you need to talk to someone. He's not that person to like let things go by the wayside. He's very upfront with people. He's very honest with people, but he's also very caring, and he's a good person overall. So that's kind of how I would describe him.
Matt Jones is the guy you came in with in your class. What is it that he's done this year that you think has made it where the coaches feel like he needs to be on the field?
Just his level and dedication to the game. I mean, he's always had that when he's been here. I mean, so he came in he early enrolled when I came in the summer. So he also had that little extra time for him to get used to the coaches and get used to Ohio State football in general. But he's grown a lot. Like I would say that a lot of people have grown here, but like Matt Jones's transition from his time being here and early enrolling into now, there's been such a growth in terms of not only as him as a football player, but also him as a person. The things that he does off the field, the things that he cares about, the things that he's kind of learned about himself over time. And I think that that's something that the coaches have seen in him, and they've seen that kind of shift with him, and they've seen like his progression in that nature.
Got time for just a couple more questions. Second row left, Nathan Barrett, Cleveland.com.
How's Paris Johnson Jr. helping this team the most offensively right now?
Just his aggression and his toughness. Almost every single play he's looking to finish. And just him being a young guy and him stepping into a role like this, being a starter, is probably one of the most impressive things about our offensive line unit, maybe even about the team. Just seeing someone like that step into a role, someone who was a tackle in high school throughout his whole career, not only saying he would be willing to help the team do whatever he needs to do by playing guard his freshman year, actually getting reps in the national championship game, but now to becoming a starting offensive guard his second year playing, like it's probably one of the most impressive things I've seen. So just his level of dedication and determination and how fast he's become such an amazing player here is probably something that I would say that helps the team the most, because it just shows it's a good light for younger guys, even for older guys, of just putting your head down and just working as hard as you can and seeing what that can make out of you.
Far left, Jack Emerson, the Lantern.
Hey Nick, you guys kind of hang your head on overcoming adversity, stuff like that. In the last 2 weeks, it's appeared that you guys have done that. Have you seen some kind of changes in the mentality or the mindset of the team in the past few weeks?
I said that there was a lot more leadership. I think that we've grown as a group in terms of having older guys come out and becoming leaders, and even younger guys who maybe not necessarily have the years of being able to step out in front of the team, but having the skills and the talent to look like a leader, to step out and is trying to take that role. But in terms of us overcoming adversity, that's always been our motto here. Fight. That's our culture. That's something that we've done every day, and fight to become the best version of yourself every single day. And that's what adversity is, and that's what we do every single day. So I wouldn't necessarily say that that's something that's changed. That's something that we've always continually tried to do. That's our culture. That's what we do here, and I think that we just improved on that.
And final questions. Second row right, Tim May, Letterman Row.
Nick, speaking of leadership, what does it mean to a team? I mean, to see the defense give up that one big play on Saturday, but then Haskell Garrett on the next play blocks the extra point. You know, one of the actually adult leaders of the group. You know what I mean? What does it just do for a team, and what does it do, I guess, for Haskell Garrett's reputation as a leader?
It just shows how much fight they have, and it shows how much fight we have as a team, and that no matter whether something bad happens, whether it's on the offensive side or the defensive side of the ball, we're not the type of team that just go in the tank. You know what I mean? Like, we're the type of people that no matter whatever the situation is, whether we're up, whether we're down, whether we're up by a lot, whether we're up by a little, whether we're down by a lot, we're going to always fight. We're always going to compete, and we're not going to just waver whenever something goes wrong, because it's football. Not everything's going to go right every single play, but that doesn't change the way that you approach the game. That doesn't change the way that you play snap after snap. That doesn't change anything that you do. As long as you keep competing, you keep fighting, you keep doing what we need to do, and we go by the tenets that we have at Ohio State, we'll always just keep competing. We'll fight the way we need to.
And one other quick thing, when you guys did jump into the I formation there last week, did you hear any scuttlebutt across the line from you? Hey, well, you know, y'all haven't really shown that a lot. You know, understand what I'm saying? What was this sort of the reaction across the line from Rutgers when you guys first showed that?
I think they were a little confused. I remember there was an offsides penalty by one of the defensive linemen, so I think that was kind of a new look that they probably weren't used to seeing, and they were just like a little hesitant about it. But that's just a testament to our coaches, like from Coach Wilson and Coach Day and all the other offensive coaches that help out in terms of scheming and play calls and stuff like that. Like, they're probably some of the best in the business. That's why they're at Ohio State, and that's why I came here, because I put all my faith into them, and I knew that they had such a great pedigree in terms of knowing the game of football for all the years they've been coaching. And whenever they always try to put us in the best positions possible and to put us in the right positions that we can make plays and be the best that we can be every single weekend.
Great. Nicholas, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Marcus, come on down. Folks, we're going to be a little quicker here. We'll open up the floor for questions for Marcus Williamson, front row middle, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Marcus. You came back for an extra year. Probably was not the start of the season you envisioned. How tough was that? Were there second thoughts about coming back? I mean, obviously some players quit, transferred. Was that ever a thought? And you obviously played very well last week. What was the reason for that?
I think naturally, like, it's human nature, to maybe have second guesses, second thoughts if things don't go your way. Fortunately, I was able to just put my head down and work. And I think I have too much love for this team to want to put myself first before the team. So I decided to, just keep working, because that's what we do.
And right next door, Joey Costin, Columbus Dispatch.
Marcus, what have you seen from Talia, Maryland's quarterback so far, just kind of watching film with him?
He seems to be pretty accurate. He's got a lot of weapons around him. I think it'll be an exciting matchup for our defense and for our team. I think we have a lot of respect for them going in early, and we'll just see how this week of practice goes.
We'll go fourth row left, Griffin Strom, 11 Warriors.
Hey, Marcus, Ryan told us that you had to really clear some distractions out of your head this past week. I was wondering if you're able to kind of expound upon that and maybe what some of those distractions were for you.
I would say this, this season didn't go how I personally envisioned for myself. But I've always, since PU, I've considered myself, a team player. And, sometimes you got to just put your ego aside, put the distractions aside, people in your ear, people in the community back home, whatever it may be, and just kind of put your best foot forward and focus on the team. And that's what I decided to do. So.
And also, Brian was telling us that Craig Young has been moving around in safety roles, maybe playing some cover safety. What have you seen out of him in that role, and what kind of makes him stand out playing safety?
First off, I love Craig. Great guy, man. I think what's special about Craig is, he's such a versatile athlete. Like, he's one of probably the biggest DB in the room, but he moves like he's, like he's a smaller guy. And so just having that versatility of him, his physicality, his foot speed, his hips, his long speed. Craig is a guy that can be used in a lot of roles, and we're really glad to have him.
Right in front of him, Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
You're sort of alluding to this, but the coaches in the offseason talked a lot about the depth that they thought was being built with the young guys.
Mm-hmm.
And now it seems like more that the depth actually with some of those young guys are the best guys on defense, and then guys like you were kind of filling in behind that. Is that, how many weeks in does that realization kind of hit you? And is that sort of what you're talking about, that everybody has to kind of process that in a different way?
Like I said earlier, it might be human nature to think, I'm the guy, but, for a lot of guys, that doesn't go that way. There's, I don't know the exact number, 100-something guys on the team. And so everybody has to find their role, find their niche, find what they're different at, find what they're good at, and then find your limitations and figure out where you fall in from there. And when you understand that role, I think it just allows you to go that much harder and see how far you can get. So I think that's what makes this team special, is a lot of guys have that mindset. And like you said, top to bottom, it's just all starting to come together.
Second row right, Austin Ward, Letterman Row.
Marcus, I'm not trying to dig into any game plan, but how different does it feel what you guys do, what you have done the last couple of weeks, than what you started the year with? How challenging was it to maybe make some of those changes in the middle of the year after all of spring and all of training camp and going in the first couple of weeks?
I don't think it was that challenging at all. I think we have an excellent coaching staff. They coach with intent. They coach with confidence. and just to have them plug or play a little different scheme here or there. I don't think it's been that difficult for us.
Is it just a slight tweak, or has it felt more significant to those of you that are
I can only speak for my personal role, and even some of the secondary. I don't know if I see too much difference. That might be a better question for the coaches, I guess. But yeah, that's all I really got. Appreciate you.
And we'll wrap it up over here. Third row left, Doug Lamery, Cleveland.com.
Marcus, we're asking a lot of the same questions, but we know it can be hard sometimes when you want to play more, right? And it seems like you've impressed people with the way you've handled your business here. What is the balance for an older player in helping out younger guys when maybe some of those younger guys then start getting more snaps, right? Like how have you handled it? What's the right thing for an older player to do in a situation like that?
The word that's been dodging me this whole interview, I guess it just comes down to humility. Just taking that servant mindset. I think there's a lot of power in that. When no matter what that guy's role may be, maybe he makes a play. I explained this to the defensive back room. Maybe the buddy next to you, maybe he makes that play. Maybe you thought it was your play to be made. But at the end of the day, you're only hurting yourself when you try to put yourself above the team. And so just taking that servant mindset, that love mindset, that I'm gonna put my best foot forward, man, and I'm gonna help the team. I think that's like I said earlier, like it's having just huge dividends for what we're doing here.
Great. Marcus, thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it.